What's up, everybody? It's the Power Rankings Podcast, aka the Power Rankings Show. I'm your host, Elliot Harrison. Welcome. I always want to say welcome. It's so awkward. And welcome in Marcus Mosher. That's at Marcus_Mosher, the annoying little line that goes at the bottom, not the dash. He's in all black per the usual. Mm-hmm. No Ross quarter zip today.
You mean Marshalls or TJ Maxx? I mean Ross.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. But didn't you? Was it you that informed me, or maybe Courtney at Brink said that TJ Maxx owns Ross
and Marshalls? Yeah, they own them all.
I mean, isn't that kind of like if we found out on the down low that Dairy Queen owned, Carl's Jr.
or if like Jerry Jones owned multiple franchises in the NFL, right?
Listen, Pepsi might be the official soft drink of the Dallas Cowboys, but Coke is the official soft drink of AT&T Stadium. So you really need to separate that. Okay, get it right.
We are off to a great start to the show.
We're off to we looked at Marcus. We were high on him.
I'm wearing all black in this show to mourn the Browns playoff chances because they are no longer going to make it after making the playoffs last year. It's just too bad. It's unfortunate because I do think this Browns team is talented, just not the year for them.
Do you like my Christmas tree background?
I do. We're really starting off hot today.
with the 18th century historical map behind it. This is called Being at Your Brother's. But we've got this is Sheep Snoopy here. So for all you guys that are fans of Christmas Peanuts Christmas, I am surrounded by Christmas Peanuts figurines as we talk about the ranking of the 32 teams, which is what we do today. Couple news items, a lot more COVID stuff. Marcus is going to let you spin on that in just a second. Wanted to just say to everyone, though, that I didn't really factor that in ranking the teams this week. Quite frankly, it's too widespread. And also teams like the Browns are going to be getting players back. So it's really kind of hard. So basically what I did is I considered, I hate to say real injuries, but the more common, what we're used to as football fans. So yes, I'm concerned about Chris Godwin, Sterling Shepard, obviously the Achilles injury. Tried to factor those into the rankings a little bit. Not that any of you guys care where the Giants are ranked, but just saying. Whereas COVID, it's a little bit harder to do. But with that said, Marcus, what do you want to spin on this deal?
I mean, we should also mention that we're doing this show before the two games on Tuesday afternoon. So right, we haven't seen the Rams, we haven't seen the Seahawks, Washington, or Philadelphia. So I don't think our rankings are going to change too much. I mean, if the Rams really lay an egg, I guess they could theoretically drop, but probably not a lot's going to change here.
Yeah, so the Seahawks are visiting the Rams, and then obviously you have an NFC East tilt with the Eagles. The Eagles look like they're actually in pretty good shape to get that 7th spot. We're going to talk about some playoff seeding here.
I might disagree actually with you on that one. I think there's a team that's going to steal that 7th spot, and actually maybe even the 6th spot. You know what I'm talking about?
I think I do. Yeah. We'll get there. I think they have a really good defense.
The Falcons, baby.
No, not the Falcons.
Oh, we're on the wrong page.
Before we get there, any thoughts about Monday Night Football? Either the first leg of the doubleheader or the second one?
No. I mean, no. I don't think we have to have big takeaways.
It's not the best in the business for nothing, everybody.
Listen, I don't think we have to have big, overarching, sweeping takeaways from primetime games.
We're on to Cincinnati.
Listen, the Raiders barely sneaked, snuck out a win against the Browns backup team, and the Vikings let the Bears hang around. The Bears defense played well, and I don't know. It was not a great Monday night,
bro. played well, it doesn't even do justice to how that defensive unit played.
Yeah, but I also don't. The Vikings didn't play all that well either. So it's just
because the Bears disrupted them. That's why. Okay. By the way, I'm drinking a McCafe frozen coffee. We could really use a sponsorship. McDonald's. I have not laid waste to you like I have all of our other potential sponsorships. So
we are a McDonald's show. We are very much favorite McDonald's.
We are. It's one of the 3 options Marcus has to go to dinner with his wife where he lives. Unfortunately,
2 options now that Dairy Queen's closed for the winter. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, well, we need to find out how that letter writing Applebee's campaign is going. Speaking of, let's actually not speaking of at all. This is nothing to do with anything. So let's go to the Jacks because that's number 32. Spoiler alert. They lost to the Houston Texans, who I had also at the bottom of the rankings. I mean, look, you fire a head coach in the middle of the week and you try to prepare the team to play. I think we overrated the Jags' chances, including Vegas as well. I think Vegas had them as 5.5 point favorites, like that, approx, right? Yeah. Yeah. It's a mess right now.
We could compare all these teams to like chain restaurants if you want to. Like, I'm fine calling Jacksonville the Applebee's of the NFL. It's fine.
Well, that's actually what I was going to do when I said speaking of. And then I said to myself, do I want to ruin yet another sponsorship? How many have I ruined? I don't want to ruin Applebee's.
I don't think they don't mind. I'm pretty sure that's where Urban Meyer got fired as an Applebee's, right? I don't know. This Jacksonville team is just not very good. They have no talent on defense. Trevor Lawrence continues to regress from what we saw in the middle of the season. It's bad. We can move on.
Yeah. It's almost as bad as my Harrison apparel hack that's coming later in the show. Houston Texans are at 31. One thought I had from this game is something we've talked about before. It's been a few weeks now, but Brandon Cooks, more big plays again this week. That guy is almost franchise proof, isn't he?
At this franchise point. Proof, quarterback proof. It doesn't matter. All he's going to do is put up 1,000 yards wherever he goes. I don't understand why the NFL doesn't like him as much as most fans do. It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, it's really weird. He had a touchdown late in that game. I think that's the one that put the Texans up by 2 scores, making it kind of an insurmountable lead. And by the way, Davis Mills outplayed Trevor Lawrence. I don't know. You never really sounded like a Davis Mills believer to me.
Still
Are you
really.
A little bit now? Not really.
No, because Jacksonville's defense is just that bad. So I think Mills could hang around the league as a high-end backup, but I don't think he's a franchise guy at all.
Hey, everybody. Just want to say on Brandon Cooks, just to follow this up, I'm looking at his numbers right now. Usually I just go off memory. I actually decided to pull up my internet like a normal human being. 4 100-yard games this year. That's 2 in a row for him. Mm-hmm. Season stats for Brandon Cooks, man. 80 catches, 947 yards, 5 touchdowns. Pretty good, Marcus, in 14 games for this football team.
He'll be another 1,100-yard season, 7 touchdowns, and we'll keep talking about why should somebody else trade for him, because he's just a good player.
How many 1,000-yard seasons do you think Brandon Cooks has?
So he was drafted in 2014. He's basically played every season since then. He had 1 year he was injured, so I'll say 6.
This would be his 6th if he gets there. He needs 53 yards.
He'll get there.
He's probably going to set a career high in catches. His career high in catches is 84. He's already at 80. By the way, he's done that 4 times. What a career for that guy. Okay, that's enough on the Texans. New York Jets are at 30. Not sure what you make of Zach Wilson at this point. There have been some good signs for them. This is a team that's won a few games, but I still think they're really at the bottom of the pack.
Yep, I agree with you. Their best player, I think, on offense, Elijah Moore, out for the season. Mekhi Becton out for the season. Just they need a reset, and I think they'll get it next year. We can move on.
Yeah, the Jets, their average points per game is about 18, but they're giving up about 31. So their average score of their games is to lose 31 to 18. That's not good. New York Giants are at 29. I dropped them. Obviously, they lost one of their starting frontline players to an Achilles injury. You hate to see that late in the year. Not that you want to see an Achilles injury early in the year, but as you know, Marcus, this is a tough injury to come back from as a skill player, and you just don't want to see guys like this, and we'll get to Chris Godwin, hurt this late in the year. Although I will say, when Adrian Peterson came back from his knee injury, that was a December game against Washington, if I recall, that he tore his knee up. In 2012, he had arguably his best season ever. Actually, I don't think it's much of an argument. And the dude ran for like 2,096 yards. I know an Achilles is different, but hopefully Shepard will get better there. They've shut down Danny Dimes for the year, and they're still not getting a whole lot from Saquon Barkley other than a really great one-handed catch.
These are the names of the players that have scored a touchdown for the Giants since November 8th. Okay?
Oh, boy. Here we go. Yeah.
Chris Myrak, who is a linebacker, Andrew Thomas, who is their left tackle, and Elijah Penny, who is a fullback, and Saquon Barkley has scored one receiving touchdown at the end of the Chargers game. That's
so they don't even have the good Penny.
They don't even have the good Penny. This is the bad Penny. That's the list of guys that have scored a touchdown in the last month and a half for the Giants. They're just a disaster right now.
Tacos. All right. I tell you another team that I've got near the bottom, and you could argue based on their record they shouldn't be this low. But Marcus, I don't have any problem keeping Carolina at 28. The way they're playing, they look listless. You know, I said, if you recall a month ago when Cam Newton came in against Arizona and he said, "I'm back," right into the camera, I was like, Cam, please don't do that. Because what's going to happen is you're putting yourself out there. People are going to criticize you. Then all the Cam defenders are going to come out and say he's mistreated. I don't know if you saw the last interception he threw to the Bills linebacker.
Yep.
It was, literally, he threw it right to him, and it just looked like no effort whatsoever. Like, we're going to lose this game anyway. I'm just going to throw the ball out here. I don't know what to make of it at this point. I don't know what to make of Cam coming back there. I don't know what to make of their quarterback kind of carousel, as you would have it. I don't know what they do about Sam Darnold. This team's not going to get a super high draft pick because their record's not bad enough.
I mean, it's pretty bad. What are they, 5-9?
Yeah, but that's not bad enough.
No. Well, I don't think there's a quarterback in this draft anyways. It's worth drafting inside the top 10. But since Matt Rule has taken over last year, 10 total wins. They traded 2 second-round picks for Sam Darnold, and no team in the NFL has spent more cap dollars on their quarterback situation than the Panthers. And yet they're awful. Matt Rule, I think, going into year 3 is under a lot of pressure because this team just stinks right now, Elliot.
If you want to talk about bad quarterbacks that have gone in the top 5, we can go all day, bro. We could go all day. So you say that now, but when a team gets desperate for a quarterback,
yeah, it's true. It's fair.
You know what happens. They get rid of a guy and put a lot of money into another guy's guy. Oh, wait. Am I talking about Carolina? Never mind.
Yep.
Okay, let's go to the Chicago Bears at 27. I just want to say this. That was one of the best defensive performances I've seen this year. Given the circumstances of the Bears offense was so bad last night. I don't even know where to begin. There were 2 plays that Justin Fields just slid and gave up. It looked like, because it was, but I'm not talking about where he ran out of the pocket. I mean, he just went down and slid because the play looked busted. Everything they could do wrong. Oh my gosh. Bird's drop pass at the end of the game after dropping the punt. The Bears defense not only was playing against its own offense, it was playing against some really cruddy calls. And you know me, I don't complain about refs calls. That call on their corner, taking out the was it a sweep or a screen pass? And they called him for going low on the offensive lineman.
Yep.
Where he goes around the line. So the corner, if you didn't see the game, the Bears corner tries to go around the lineman, and he makes a great play to grab the running back's ankle. And they said he went low on the lineman, which they're trying to protect. It was terrible.
I can't believe you're the one that's complaining about officials. Didn't we just have this conversation a couple of weeks ago about how they're just generally bad? I don't know. It's fine.
That's the worst call I've seen. Hey, that's the worst call I've seen this year.
Can I tell you the truth?
Yeah, go ahead.
I went to sleep at halftime at this game. I was bored.
Okay. So you don't know the play I'm talking about then.
No, I do. I did see it. I rewatched that game this morning, but I was just tired. That's all.
Yeah. So the NFL did something smart. So like on screen passes, right? The linemen pull out. And what used to happen is the corner that's on the edge that's supposed to force, they would take the legs out of the lineman to take out one of the blockers so that one of their teammates could come in and clean up. Well, that was player safety. They were trying to protect linemen. I actually like the spirit of the rule. But in this particular case, the corner went around the lineman's legs. The lineman essentially tripped over him. He made an incredible tackle, and it was a key call in the game because the Vikings got a touchdown on that drive. Of course, it didn't help that the Bears had a stupid personal foul. But anyway, I thought the Bears defense played great. When Akeem Hicks wants to play, man, not that he doesn't want to play, but when he is supremely motivated and healthy, that guy Oh, he is unblockable. I got the Lions maybe a little high here at 26. Are they too high for you?
Nope, we've been calling them the best bad team in football, right? They play insanely hard every week. Some games the offense will start to click. I'm fine with this. I think Detroit's going in the right direction. I feel much better about their future than I do like Carolina or the Jets or the Giants. I think they're going to be okay.
Yeah, if you didn't see Dan Campbell's post game, see if you can YouTube it. It's a just fun little speech with his players. Just makes you see how much they love him. And by the way, Marcus early in the year called the Lions the best bad team. Then he completely bailed on them. Then he has come back around. So I'm not going to let him.
I've never bailed on my Lions. Go ahead.
Yeah, my Lions. So that's a great one. Okay, let's go with the Falcons at 25. I don't think either one of us want to claim ownership of this football team, who are still playoff relevant. Unbelievably, we say this every week. I'm more curious what if you're the Falcons GM, what are you thinking about in terms of retooling this team for the offseason? Do you contemplate, can you even deal Matt Ryan? Is that even something that comes across your mind? What do you think?
So the Falcons are like, what, 1.5 games out of being in the wild card hunt right now or around there? They're a minus 126 in point differential this year, 29th in the NFL. They are a lot closer to being awful than they are good. I think that team needs a complete rebuild. I think if they make the playoffs, it's actually one of the worst things that they can do, because I think that ownership and the head coach, they need to realize, hey, we're not close to winning. Let's take a step back. Let's find a new franchise quarterback. Let's rebuild the offensive line, because it's just not a good team right now.
But you just said you don't feel like there's a quarterback like this in this draft.
Nope. No, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to bring Matt Ryan back at his salary, though, right? I think they need to rebuild the offensive line and see what it looks like in 2023. That my fear is that they're going to make little adjustments and little moves to try to get back to being competitive, rather than, hey, let's think of this as a 3-year rebuild rather than a 1-year retooling.
Yeah, so Matt Ryan had a $46.5 million signing bonus. That's his money. That was guaranteed money. That would be prorated through 2023. That's his last season of the current deal. So you would have to try to trade him, but you're going to take a hit doing that.
But I think this is the year to do that, right? You do that. You basically have to I don't want to say take a year off, but you know what I mean. Like trade him to somebody, reset your books, and then let's go in 2023.
Hey, I know Matt Ryan's older. We've compared him to Matt Stafford before. I think he can still play. Let's go to 24 here as we flip our little rundown on Brinks TV. 24, Seattle Seahawks. Not sure what's going to happen, obviously, against the Rams. They haven't looked good most of the year. I might be a little low on them. You could make the argument I could put them over the Raiders. The Raiders, have been without Waller. I feel like the Raiders have been more consistent this year. But if you said Seattle needs to be higher, Marcus, I would be fine with it. This is arguable.
Yep, we can go ahead to the next one.
No Tyler Lockett, man.
Well, do you want me to make a prediction on how the game goes? Like just base our ranking based off what's not probably going to happen tonight? Probably not, right?
No.
Okay.
I don't really want to hear your take on any such matters.
The Raiders. Can we talk about the Raiders?
Yeah, I know you think the Rams are going to win big. Okay, yeah, let's talk about the Raiders. Go for it. They're 23.
I know style points don't matter in the NFL. Like, I get it. Winning a game on the road is always tough. But my goodness, the Raiders, you almost gave that game away like 15 different times yesterday.
Yeah.
You had the game a 3rd and 3. If you don't get a stop, the game is over. You had a big play to Zay Jones on the final drive of the game, and then it got called back to holding. And then the Browns just missed a tackle on Foster Moreau. He's able to go out of bounds. And they had a million things break their way to beat the Browns, the backup Browns, by 2 points. You got to be a little bit frustrated by this Raiders team.
Clutch kicks by Carlson, though. I'll give him that. Make 48 on grass, have a timeout, and do it again. Hey. All right.
He's a good kicker. He's a good kicker.
He actually is one of the best in the league, man. Let's go to, I'm trying to keep it positive here. Okay. Washington football team, I've got at 22. They've been hurt by COVID, by injuries. Their defensive line, we've talked about on this podcast. I believe they've lost at different times this year, like 7 defensive linemen. They have a chance. I'll say that, but I like Philadelphia's chances a lot better in the NFC East, or not the NFC East, just getting a wild card at this point.
I agree. Garrett Gilbert starting tonight against the Eagles. be shocked if they win that game. It would give Philadelphia, basically a game and a half lead. I agree with you.
So just ahead of Washington, a team that beat them a little over a month ago, the Broncos at 21. This was a little bit one of my steepest drops of the power rankings for this week. Might have been a little bit unfair, but it had more to do with the fact that Miami, look, whether you believe in Miami or not, they're at 20. They've been the hottest team in pro football, and Minnesota did get a win. I think the Vikings are more talented than the Broncos as well. Do you think I'm too low on the Broncos?
A little bit. I watched every snap of that Bronco-Bengal game, and they were beating the Bengals before Teddy Bridgewater got knocked out of this game. The biggest play of this game was the Broncos had the ball, I think it was 2nd and 8 from like the 10-yard line, and they were running a read option with Drew Lock after Bridgewater got knocked out of the game. And the offensive line or defensive lineman for the Bengals just stole the ball away from Lock. And from that point, the Bengals went down. I believe they scored a touchdown, and the game was over after that. So I think the Broncos are better than the 21st team in the league with Teddy Bridgewater.
With Teddy Bridgewater, but
I don't know if we'll ever see him the rest of the season. So
yeah,
I have a hard time complaining about this one though.
So this goes back to what I kind of started us off with. To me, there's a difference between COVID and normal football injuries that we're used to. Teddy Bridgewater doesn't look like he's going to be available. This is a different team with Drew Lock. As good as that defense is, every defense gets tired if your offense is either giving the other team short fields or if you're in a punt fest, they just time of possession. Miami at 20. I still don't think Miami's one of the toughest teams in the league. I'm not there with them. I'm impressed by what they've been able to do. They've won 6 games in a row. They were at 1.1-7. They're now 7-7. Can you make an argument they should be higher?
Sure, why not? Their defense is playing really well. Just another example of why running backs don't matter, Elliot. They pulled Duke Johnson, who was not on a team the last 2 years, off the street into the starting lineup. He was with the team less than 10 days. 22 carries, 107 yards, 2 touchdowns in this game.
Maybe Duke Johnson's been working out. Maybe wherever he was working, he was doing mental reps.
28-year-old running back who's been out of the league multiple years comes in and just runs all over the Jets. Just pointing that out.
Hey, you're 30, bro. Let's go to Minnesota.
Yeah, go ahead.
You are. That is a fact. Minnesota at 19. I don't know if you can hear me drinking my McCafe vanilla coffee. Mm-hmm. Sure is good, McDonald's. Vikings offense was bad last night, but I thought the Bears played their butts off. The Vikings defense got bailed out over and over by just stupid plays and play calling. And obviously this isn't the Bears section. It's the Vikings. So my question to you is, after what you've seen from Minnesota, do you trust them to earn that 7th spot?
No, I don't trust them at all. I don't trust them at all.
Tough schedule.
They can't play in a single normal game all year. Everything is the most insane game that you've ever seen. They don't do one thing particularly well, and it makes them really hard to rely on them. So no, I don't think they're going to get the 7th seed.
I think the thing they probably do the best is, when they stick with it, is run the football, and they're pretty good at getting after the passer. They do have a good pass rush, especially considering their best pass rusher has been gone now for
they're top
2 months.
De'Von Hunter and Everson Griffin are both gone. So
and they still have over 40 sacks. I think they lead the league in sacks, if I'm not mistaken. I'm actually going to look and see how many they have. Yeah, they've got 44 sacks on the year, so pretty doggone good. Unfortunately, they cut their starting quarter, Bashad Breeland, and they're not a consistent football team. And I think their competition is too stiff for that 7th spot. We're going to get to one of the teams that I know Marcus thinks is going to get that spot here in a second. Cleveland Browns at 18. I could have been harder on Cleveland, but I thought their performance was really gritty in lieu of everyone they were missing, including their head coach and the top 2 quarterbacks on their depth chart. And they still could have easily won that game. And I think the Browns still have a chance to win the AFC North, even though they're in last place.
I disagree with you with them
playing.
They play Green Bay this week in Green Bay on Christmas Day. And then they've got games. They play at Pittsburgh. And then
they can win.
They're going to beat Green Bay. They have to beat Green Bay, though. They can't win the division if they lose to Green Bay.
It's possible. Okay. I'm just, like, you know, I try to keep things positive.
And then they finish up the
you...
season. They finished up the season home against the Bengals.
Okay. Okay. So they can win the last 2 games, right?
Yeah.
So hold on before you poo-poo it. At 9-8, they can still get into the postseason. They can.
It's very unlikely.
It's hard.
It's pretty unlikely considering they won't be able to win the division. And there's so many teams already in the AFC with 8 wins or more.
They're going to need a lot of help.
Can I just say, I was upset with Cleveland last night because you had the chance to win the game on 3rd and 3, and they just ran the ball. And I understand why you do it, but why not roll out Nick Mullins? And if the tight end's not there, just eat it and slide. I thought it was kind of playing chicken football to just run it 3 straight times, punt the ball back to Derek Carr. When you have a whole bunch of guys missing and Myles Garrett's hurt, why not go try to win the game at least a little bit there? I thought that was foolish.
I'm going to disagree with you on this one. I think they were trying to win the game. Couple things on that. First of all, let's use your example of rolling out Nick Mullins. That's exactly what the Ravens did with Tyler Huntley. They shut off one side of the field against Green Bay.
But you can just eat it, right? You just slide it, but it's not there. That's the difference is you don't have to throw the ball.
Sure. But we're also kind of going under the understanding of, you know, when you're in athletics, one of the toughest jobs in professional sports is being a pinch hitter. And the reason is you're cold, and then they throw you out there in the 9th inning with 2 outs, and you haven't batted in 3 days because you only play every 2 or 3 games. Nick Mullins has barely played. He didn't have a great preseason. He's got so many things going on in his mind that I don't know that you can just trust him to make that. In other words, what I'm trying to say is this isn't you telling Brian Westbrook, hey, Brian, if you break this run, lay down at the 1 yard line.
But you had the 2-minute warning right there. You had time to call that best play. And you could just tell him, hey, Nick, if it's not open, slide. Don't throw the ball out of bounds. If Harrison Bryant's wide open and flat, throw it to him. We'll win the game. If not, we're okay. I don't understand why they didn't do that.
Okay. The other thing is you've got Nick Chubb back there. It's not like I would kind of agree with you if it's Devontae Freeman and we're trying to run for 3 yards, but you have a top 3 tailback back there against a run defense that admittedly hasn't been very good this year. I think they had just as good a chance.
Why run a big sweep to the right side where a million things can go wrong?
That's a different argument.
Oh, it is. It is
a different argument.
Just the whole sequence never made sense to me. I just like when teams are a little bit more aggressive. I would think that the Browns in that situation would be like, you know what? Our odds of stopping Daniel Carlson to get a field goal probably aren't very good with our pass rusher that just tore his Achilles, our other all-pro guy that just hurt his groin, and we've got a whole new secondary back there. It's way easier for me to go get 3 yards than it is for me to stop Derek Carr once again.
Okay. That's all. I'm just trying to give you the other side of it, the way that I viewed it. And it's a little different with Nick Mullins, who hasn't played, and you've got Nick Chubb back there. But hey, 3rd and 3 is hard to get. Yeah.
We saw last year, Browns, Chiefs in Kansas City. This is almost the same situation, right? Who was the quarterback for the Chiefs? It was Matt Moore that was in the game, right? And I think it was a 4th and 4. And the Chiefs went for it, and they threw the ball at Tyreek Hill, won the game. Didn't even give the Browns another chance.
Wait, was it Matt Moore or was it Chad Henne?
It might have been Chad Henne, but yeah, what's the difference? You know what I mean? Like Andy Reid believed in his team to go get those yards. That's all.
Yeah, but I just throwing this out there again. Chad Henne is a guy that's with the team all the time, gets practice reps. He's been with that organization. Nick Mullins, not the same deal.
Okay,
but hey. This is enough about Cleveland. My gosh,
we're moving
5 minutes on Cleveland Courtney's board. I need to have another drink of my McCafe vanilla iced coffee, large size. By the way, the Giants offered me a medium McCafe iced coffee for having to watch their games this year, but not a large.
That's funny. Can we talk about the Steelers here at 17?
No, we're going to skip them because I think everyone is tired of your Steelers take. So I'm just going to take this over. Yeah. Gritty win against the Titans. It may not have been pretty. It's a game they had to have. Steelers still have a good chance. Mike Tomlin blew the kiss at the camera, kind of like, he can be cocky at times. Steelers defense is different when they have certain personnel. That was a heck of a tackle by Joe Hayden. Unbelievably solid tackle to prevent that first down. I was actually a little surprised by that. Okay, now I'll let you talk.
Just make it quick. Okay, the Carolina Panthers have a better point differential than the Browns or the Steelers this year, minus 44.
I made a mistake letting you talk about the Steelers.
The Steelers are probably going to win the AFC North. I'm not bitter at all. Go ahead.
All right. Can we go to 16? Courtney, can you please do the rundown?
So
thank you. Yes, 16, Philadelphia Eagles. Let's talk about a different Pennsylvania team. Okay, you live there.
High of the Eagles. Holy cow.
It's not that I'm high on the Eagles. It's that I'm not high on the teams behind them. Because to me, I'll easily take 15, 14, 13, and so on over the Eagles. So this is
the Raiders did this kind of the Eagles, right?
Yeah, that was a Raider team with a healthy Darren Waller. That was a Raider team that quite honestly was playing better a month ago. As you said yourself, they got bailed out in this game, man.
Yeah. Can we just really have a problem? Saints? No, can we just talk about the Saints at 15? That's all I really want to talk about.
All right. Well, hey, just before we do that, in case you've been living under a rock or you don't realize, the Eagles-Washington game was rescheduled for today. The Eagles are trying to play for a playoff spot. I guess Washington is also still alive as well. Just we don't seem to think much of their chances. I know that the next team, though, up is the team that you think has a better chance than Philadelphia. Given that Philadelphia is stronger in the passing game right now with Taysom Hill's finger the way it is and the Saints personnel, what do you think about these two teams as a comparison?
I think the Saints are better. I do. I think the Saints might have the best defense in the league right now. They're finally healthy. It took them all season long to get healthy.
Davenport, man.
And you might be right on Davenport. Davenport's maybe their best edge rusher, but to me, honestly, the guy that changes the defense is Chauncey Gardner-Johnson because he just gives them an attitude that they've kind of lacked, right? Like we saw it in this game. Like he got right up in Tom Brady's face and is chewing him out and stuff. And like most guys wouldn't dare to do that to Brady, but he would because he's played so well against Tom Brady. So I think the Saints team is going to win the next 3 games, and I think they're going to be in the playoffs. And if you are Tampa Bay and you're the 2 seed, you are terrified, absolutely terrified if this is the 7 seed, right?
Somewhat, but I just, Taysom Hill's finger isn't getting better and Jameis Winston isn't coming back and you can't stand Trevor Siemian. So, it's
but they beat the Bucs both times this year.
I know they did.
And Taysom. It's that defense is so dominating, and with Chris Godwin not coming back, I don't know. That's just a team that the Bucs have to be afraid of in the first round of the playoffs.
I think any team does. I mean, if you can run the ball and play defense, I say it all the time. I don't care. I know people are so big on the passing game, and yes, the passing game is more important than ever in terms of getting you in the playoffs, but I still think running game and defense win in the playoffs as much as a good passing game does. Cincinnati Bengals are at 14. They can play defense and they can run the football, although Joe Mixon, any concern there?
A little bit, but I'm not sure it's that big of a deal against the Ravens this week because I don't think you want to run the ball against the Ravens. I think you're going to want to throw the ball. The Bengals are – I think they're still a good team, but their linebackers, because Logan Wilson's out, it's a big problem for them. They have a hard time stopping the run without Wilson on the field. I'm a little dubious about their chances to win like 2 of the next 3 games.
Have you been surprised about Jamar Chase, given how big you were on him early in the year?
No, because they're running the ball way more now than they were earlier in the year. I just saw today, over the last 8 games, they have the highest run rate in the NFL. They're just trying to play a different brand of football. But I think in games like this against Baltimore here in Week 16, they're going to air it out. And I think that's what makes the Bengals a pretty tough team to deal with.
Well, you've been big on Chase. I've been big on T. Higgins. I thought he was kind of overlooked. I thought he's had a great year. And the guy that made the big play for them this week was actually Tyler Boyd. With a good catch and move on a long touchdown. That I think that was the go-ahead score in that game. Baltimore at 13, I dropped them quite a few spots. I think 4 spots this week. I can't see our little graphic to show it because my Zoom thing always gets in the way.
They're down 4 spots. Yep.
Yeah, I blame Courtney for not putting it in a different spot, but it's just easier to do that other than memorize your own rankings. Baltimore. So a couple thoughts on that game for me here is it's too much talk about analytics in this game. It made me sick. I told you on the phone yesterday, both sides are being insufferable with their analytics takes. The Phil Simms of the world that don't want to hear it, and the people that are getting so upset every time they get criticized. Analytics did not win or lose that game on Sunday. There were so many other factors to consider, like giving Tyler Huntley the entire side of the field to run for that touchdown, either set the edge or spy the guy, one or the other. And don't tell me he's too fast to spy. Not with that Packers defense. And I didn't like the play call on the 2-point conversion, rolling out, trying to get it to Mark Andrews. That ball was not thrown well anyway. Although great anticipation. I can't remember which Packers defensive back. Was it Rasul Butler? Who broke on that ball?
Rasul Douglas. Yep.
Rasul Douglas. I said Rasul Butler. Sorry. Hey, I did it. Wait, what was my over under for the year? 12?
You're getting close.
I'm nowhere near 12. I'm only like at 6. I'm trying to think of all the guys I've misnamed this year. I did put your wrong Twitter handle though once. That was fun. Let's go to Tennessee Titans at 12. By the way, we should say you still think Pittsburgh's going to win the AFC North, correct?
I do. Yep.
Yeah. You want Cincinnati to win it. You think the Browns have the toughest road. I'm not sure the Ravens don't have the toughest road to winning the AFC North.
I don't disagree. They play the Bengals here this week, and then they play the Rams, and then Pittsburgh. Yeah, they might. I really wanted the Ravens to win this game so I could call this a cultural win.
You love that.
It didn't happen. But
the one thing about the Steeler game, that is at home in Baltimore. That is an advantage, we should say. And they've narrowly lost to Pittsburgh.
They have to win one of their next 2 to make that game meaningful. If they lose to the Bengals and the Rams, that game's not going to matter for Baltimore. They're going to be eliminated from the playoffs before we even get to Week 18.
That's right. No matter what, though, I think you have to respect the way Tyler Huntley is going out there.
He was excellent. Yeah.
Yeah. I have been a big fan of the way he's played. He played against the Bears on extremely short notice and delivered a win, brought them back against the Browns, and then brought them back against Green Bay. Unfortunately, it didn't work out, but the Packers are one of the best teams in the league, as we'll find out as we go through the rankings. Let's go to Tennessee at 12. Move them down a little bit. Marcus, you can make the case. They are still better, than the Chargers and the Buffalo Bills, who I have the Chargers at 11. And I have the Bills at 10. So parse out these 3 teams for me. Do you like the way I have them stacked? Which team scares you the most right now? Yeah, I see you smirking.
It's tough for this Titans team because I think this version that we see right now, I actually think is way lower than this. I think you could put them in the mid-20s because they don't do anything well on offense. The defense, the secondary is really bad. But they get to the playoffs and they get Derrick Henry and A.J. Brown and Julio back. They could easily be one of the favorites in the conference. It's just really hard to differentiate from what they are now to what they could be here in a couple of weeks.
Well, and that was part of my calculus a little bit, but I'll tell you the major calculus here for me is that while I agree with you in a normal season, given the state of what they are right now, they're probably the 22nd best team in football. Look at all the teams behind them and the inconsistency we've had from what we think are contending teams. We've seen the Bengals put up duds. We've seen the Saints put up duds. We've seen the Eagles be awful. These are just some of the teams that are behind them right now. The Ravens have gotten destroyed and then come back and blown out the Chargers. So given how well the Titans are coached, and I know you're a big believer in Mike Vrabel, he may not be a coach of the year candidate, but I think he's one of the best coaches in the league. That's where I put them at 12. The Chargers at 11. I think the Chargers are in better position. They're healthier than the Titans, although the Chargers do have their own problems. And then Buffalo, who you don't believe in at all, at 10. So Chargers 11, Bills at 10. If they played right now on a neutral field, who wins that game?
I think the Chargers would win. Buffalo's still madly inconsistent. There's moments against the Panthers where you just wonder, what is Josh Allen thinking? And why can't this defense get a stop when they need to? I like the Chargers better, but the Chargers have their own issues as well.
The Bills all red unis. What do we think of those? How are we feeling? Do we like the Chargers all royal blue that they wore 2 weeks ago against the Giants, or do we like the Bills all reds better?
I think I like the all reds better. We should move on.
It's very Christmas. Do you remember the Christmas game where the Jets and the Bills played in their color rush game on Thursday night?
Yeah, and a lot of people had a problem with it. People that were colorblind really struggled with that game, so they vowed to no longer do that.
I remember the castor oil color rush game when the Jags played the Titans. Is it castor or is it mineral oil that the Jags kind of like? Well, it doesn't matter. Okay, let's go to the 49ers at number 9. I really like this team, Marcus. I've been hot on them for a while. I think they're the NFC version of the Colts to me, is what they are. They like to run the football. They play good, if not suffocating defense. That's what the Colts do. And like the Colts, they got off to a rough record, but it looks like they're going to be a wild card team. Although I would say the 49ers chances of a wild card in the NFC are better than the Colts chances of a wild card in the AFC. I think the Colts are a better football team than the 49ers, but kind of like we say, the Chargers and Vikings have seemed to be the same teams in those conferences. That's what I would say about the 49ers.
Which quarterback do you trust more between Garoppolo and Wentz? Because I think it might be Garoppolo for me.
I think it might be Garoppolo as well. Boy, that is a great question. You know, obviously I like both of their supporting casts, but I like it for different reasons. Jonathan Taylor, I don't think it's hyperbole to say he's an MVP candidate. I don't know that you have someone like that on the 49ers. However, it's great to be excited about Deebo Samuel. It's great to be excited about how much their defensive line has been able to make an impact. And Trent Williams at left tackle has had a wonderful season for them.
Mm-hmm. Do you know there's only been 4 receivers in NFL history to rush for 10 touchdowns in their career?
I didn't know that.
Do you want to guess who they are?
Oh my gosh.
Oh, putting you on the spot.
You sure are.
Debo's one. I'll give you that.
Debo's one. I'm going to go Jerry Rice.
That's 2.
Yep. Cookies and cream. This is impossible. You got to give me more time. I can't just
Tavon Austin.
Oh yeah, that's right. Tavon. I actually knew that, but I don't know the 4th guy. I wouldn't. That makes sense, but I wouldn't have thought of Cordero. But, you know, in Debo and Cordell's instances, they've been played like running backs. I mean, Debo's touchdown this week was him literally out of the dot. Like he's a tailback right behind the quarterback under center. It wasn't like a jet sweep or something like that. Either way, 49ers look good. Let's move on. Let's get to our top 8. So a little bit of movement here. You're probably not going to like how far I dropped the Cardinals. So I had the Cardinals at 8. Here is what my calculus was in doing it. And then you could tell me how botched it is. The Cardinals just got handled by the Rams a couple of weeks ago, right? The Rams had total control of that football game. I know it was a 1-possession game, Marcus, but it didn't feel like that to me at the end of that game. Then they go against the Lions, and the Lions, there was nothing fluky about this loss. I just think that they deserve to be here. I don't know how you could trust the Cardinals as a Super Bowl contender right now. Really good team, not a Super Bowl contender.
I'm fine with it. It works for me.
On to Cincinnati.
I know you wanted me to put up a big fight here, right? Like, yeah. You can't lose that game with the Cardinals. I don't know what I mean. I know there's some. We're going to talk about Tampa Bay, who they got shut out. That's obviously a better team that you're playing a divisional game. You just can't lose that game if you're the Cardinals. That's all.
I think you're kind of just subtly saying you were right, Elliot. You were right.
It's a long season. We got a lot of time to go.
Yeah. Rams at 7. Difficult team to place today, right? Because they have a division game. Granted, it is at home, but it's a division game, and we know these things can be squirrely, especially against Seattle. If Russell Wilson pulls a rabbit out of a hat, it's going to be a different deal. I thought this was the right spot for him, but I would take the argument of maybe not moving Dallas, who I have at 6, ahead of the Rams at 7, given the way Dallas's offense is played.
I'd rather have the Cowboys at 6, and I think it's fine to basically have the Rams as a placeholder at 7. I'm more interested as to why you have the Cowboys at 6 and the Patriots at 5, and the Colts at 4, because I think you can make a case that Dallas is better than all those teams.
You can make a case, but I'm not going to make a case for that because I put the Cowboys at 6 for a reason. I moved them up 2 spots, but the Cowboys have won 2 division games in a row now where their defense has looked impressive, and that's about it. And at some
2 divisional road games, by the way. They've had 3 straight road games.
Divisional road games against some cruddy teams. Let's be honest. These are not good football teams. The Patriots lost on the road against a really good team. And that's a different deal to me. And let's not also forget the Patriots have been playing with a rookie quarterback who every week is going to get better. And if you told me that the Cowboys offense is better than the Patriots, I'd say, no, it's not. Not right now. Yes, on paper it is. Statistically it is. Personnel wise, there's no question. But if we look at the last month of Cowboys football versus the Patriots football, you can't say the Cowboys offense is better. You can say the Cowboys defense is close. But I still think the Patriots have the best defense in the league. I know you think it's the Saints. I think we could argue that 1-2 all day, but they're still 1-2. Dallas is not.
The difference for me is special teams, right? New England last week 2 weeks against the Bills, N'Keal Harry muffed the punt, almost changed that game. They had a punt block in the Colts game. Their special teams have not been very good. Now the kicking's been fine. Everything else has been awful. I think that's the difference for me.
Hey, call me a what's I don't know what the word is. A negative Nancy.
It's the quarterback, right? It's when it comes to a big game, you're still going to trust Dak more than you're going to trust Mac Jones. And if the defenses are close, which we think they are, give me the more experienced quarterback.
Okay. You know what I'm going to say? If somebody had played the way another person has played for a month straight like this, but I'm not going to have that argument with you again about
I can't imagine what we would be talking about if Carson Wentz did play this way for the last month. Oh, wait, he has. He's been awful.
So has Dak Prescott.
Do you realize that Dak had the third best QBR this week?
Oh, gosh. Okay.
Okay, go ahead. Let's go move on.
Yay.
Move on.
Hey, did you know in Tecmo's Super Bowl, I had a perfect passer rating with Steve DeBerg? Enough. Okay, so I've got the Colts at 4. They beat the top seed, the AFC, who a lot of people were saying was the best team in the AFC. You thought I should have the Patriots higher at multiple points this season. You wanted them in the top 3 teams, I think, at one point, or top 4. The Colts beat them, and they beat them handily. They were in control of that game. And Jonathan Taylor, this is not just a chic saying here or just following what everybody else is saying. I think Jonathan Taylor should be the front runner for MVP right now. Either he or Aaron Rodgers. To me, it's between those two.
Fair enough. That team's got to show they can pass the ball, though, because if Wentz continues to be a liability and they're just kind of protecting him, it's going to be a problem when it comes to playoff time. But we'll see.
By the way, secretly, the Super Bowl I am rooting for this year is Cowboys Colts. I want a rematch of Super Bowl 5. I want to see a great running back. I want to see a great Cowboys defense. Colts in their all whites versus the Cowboys in their navies. That's what I want. A great uni matchup, by the way. Tampa Bay Bucks at number 3. I could have dropped them more here, but you wouldn't have approved of me putting the Colts over them. And I don't think you would have approved of me putting the Patriots over them the way they played. So would you have had the Cowboys vaulted all the way at number 3 ahead of Tampa with Chris Godwin's injury?
I don't know how you do your power ranking because sometimes it's based off what we've seen. Sometimes it's based on who would play who. But, like, Tampa Bay has not played particularly well over the last month, right?
Nope. Nor has Dallas.
I mean, Dallas has covered the spread in 3 straight games. They've won 3 straight road games, right?
Okay. Can you take your homer hat off for just a moment?
I'm just saying, listen, I think a ugly 15-point win on the road is better than a home loss, is it not?
Absolutely. But are we just going to go on the most recent week and nothing else?
No,
I dropped the Cardinals, but I dropped the Cardinals because they haven't played well now for a bit. Okay.
Tampa Bay lost to Washington, right? That was pretty recent.
Yeah, they also went to Indianapolis and won as well.
Barely won that game. Yeah, it's one of their good wins they've had.
Barely won on the road that Bill Belichick's Patriots, who you've been howling all year, lost.
I'm just saying they have not looked. I mean, they got beat by the Saints. They lost to Washington. They've had one good win over the last 6 weeks. That's all.
We looked at Marcus. We liked Felix Jones' speed better, so we sent him home with the Papa John's pizza and a signed Chad Hutchinson jersey. And good morning, yeah, something like that, right?
Kansas City at number 2.
The fake Jerry guys at the ticket in Dallas do a much better job than I do. Kansas City Chiefs, number 2. I don't have any problem with this, but obviously it's my rankings, but Travis Kelce not being able to play this weekend is problematic.
And most likely no Tyreek Hill, Harrison Butker, their kicker out, 3 offensive linemen out, both starting cornerbacks, Nick Bolton out. on top of some guys that were already on the COVID list. So they are going to be missing a lot. It's going to be fascinating to see, can they still get a win over the Steelers at home? I kind of have my doubts, Elliot.
Yeah, of course you do. Of course you do. I already know.
Listen, I'll be honest. Listen, I bet before I even heard the COVID news, I bet on the Steelers to win outright. So let me just be clear. So
I think you have to be impressed with what Kansas City has done over the last 2 months. We talk about cultural wins as an organization all the time. I've been impressed very much with their defense. Patrick Mahomes has played better. Travis Kelce had a huge game against the Chargers. That was a great football game. I think they're better than Tampa Bay right now. I'm not as low on Tampa Bay as you are.
Kansas City's defense is just better. That's really what it is.
So I have Green Bay at number 1. I think Green Bay's defense is better than Kansas City's defense. Aaron Rodgers, it's between him and Jonathan Taylor for MVP right now. They have arguably the best wide receiver in football. You could certainly make a case for Cooper Kupp. I don't see any way Green Bay is not the number 1 team. I was a little early putting them number 1 last week, at least compared to other people. I've had them in number 1 for a few weeks now. Any problem with this whatsoever?
No, I think you can make a good argument for the Chiefs, but the Packers just really haven't lost a game. I mean, they've lost the one game with Jordan Love against Kansas City early in the season, and they lost to the Saints in week 1, and then the Viking game, and that's basically about it. I mean, I think the Packers are really good. I think they are going to be the Super Bowl this year. I have no problem with this.
Yeah, and if you look at those games, week 1 is always an aberration. That game was played in Jacksonville. The Vikings game really became a track meet where both offenses put up a lot of yards. You are always going to have 1 or 2 games in the season like that. They lost that particular one. The loss against Kansas City, I actually thought showed me a ton about that team. I think that was that week I had them at 2, and you were like, how can you have Green Bay at 2 after losing? It was because their defense showed me so much. Green Bay is the best team in football right now. Aaron Rodgers is certainly the NFC MVP to this point. Just to review the top 8 real quick. So Arizona, Rams, Cowboys. So Arizona 8, Rams 7, Cowboys 6. It's hard to put tiers now because maybe really the tiers are Kansas City and Green Bay and everybody else. That being Tampa at 3, Colts at 4, Patriots 5, Cowboys 6, Rams 7, Cardinals 8. What do you think?
I agree with you. I think the top 2 are pretty clear when they are healthy, right? I mean, if Tyreek Hill and Kelce miss this game this week, I don't think we can hold that against them. I just think those are the 2 best rosters in the NFL with maybe the 2 best quarterbacks. And then 3 through 10 even. I mean, you can even put like the Chargers in that tier because I think they can play with anybody. So I think you're right here.
Yeah, so let's go back over the rankings from the bottom just in case you fell asleep on us. I didn't fall asleep. I have a lot of energy because I had caffeine from my McCafe vanilla coffee. Yeah. Jaguars at 32, they're a mess. They just lost to the Houston Texans, who have been playing Davis Mills. Brandon Cooks, we talked about, great season for him once again. New York Jets at 30. I still think they're one of the worst teams in the league. Ditto the Giants at 29. They have shut down Daniel Jones for the rest of the year. They just lost Sterling Shepard. Still can't really get Saquon Barkley going. 28 of the Carolina Panthers, who have the best record for all these bad teams, but they're not a good football team. Chicago Bears offense looked absolutely awful on Monday Night Football. Defense looked great. Detroit Lions at 26, kind of rooting for those guys. They could actually be higher than this if you go off the last few weeks. Atlanta Falcons at 25. That's a team I would consider vaulting the Lions over. Marcus nor I believe in them as a playoff team. Seattle Seahawks at 24. We'll see how that Rams game goes. If you're listening to the slate, we recorded this before the Tuesday game between Seattle at Los Angeles. Raiders at 23. They were gift wrapped a win against the Cleveland Browns last night. Washington football team at 22. They play Philadelphia today. 21 of the Denver Broncos. Marcus thinks I'm a little low there, but with no Teddy Bridgewater, this is where I think they should be. Miami, the hottest team in football, along with Kansas City. They are at 20. They've won 6 in a row. Minnesota Vikings at 19. Neither Marcus nor I trust them. Browns at 18. Looks like they might be headed for 9-8 and out of the playoffs. It's kind of unfortunate they weren't able to get a win last night. They tried to gut it out. Pittsburgh Steelers at 17. Marcus thinks they're going to win this week, which means he thinks they're going to lose, and he's hoping for it against Kansas City. At 16, we got the Philadelphia Eagles. Marcus says I'm too high on them. We'll see how they play tonight. They still have a very good chance to get a wild card, but Marcus thinks it's going to be the New Orleans Saints, who have arguably the best defense in the league, and if it's not the best, it's number 2. Cincinnati Bengals at 14. A big play from Tyler Boyd in that game. Offense still doesn't look quite like it did. Baltimore at 13. Congrats to Tyler Huntley for playing so well. Tennessee Titans at 12. We could move them down, but it's hard to trust anyone below them. They're not really themselves right now with missing personnel. The Chargers, who Marcus believes in a lot, they are number 11. He thinks they could be higher. I've got the Bills at 10 right now. That is very arguable. You could swap those. I would not put the Chargers over my number 9 team, who are the 49ers. I don't think anybody wants to play the 49ers in the playoffs if they're healthy. Nope. And then once again, the top 8. Top 8, we've got the Arizona Cardinals at 8, Rams at 7, Cowboys, who Marcus thinks should be a little bit higher at 6, Patriots at 5, Colts at 4. Then this is probably where Marcus would put the Cowboys. Then the Bucks at 3, Chiefs at 2, Packers at 1. That's what we've got. With that, Marcus, I give you the final word.
Today on Twitter, I asked how many quarterbacks in NFL history do you think have thrown an interception under 3 minutes left in the game and still have had a fourth quarter comeback and a game-winning drive like Derek Carr did last night? That's just pretty rare to throw an interception that late in the game and still come back and win. And somebody responded back, and that is why Elliott Harrison is smarter than you. And I thought that was funny, and it made me laugh.
Oh, well, I just
it was a Derek Carr. Somebody loved Derek Carr, and they when they thought of Derek Carr, they thought of you, which I thought was pretty funny.
It's funny. I work with David Carr. I consider him a friend for years. We were on a morning show together. David's a great guy, and obviously David's going to root for his brother, and they're another brother through Twitter as well. I always just thought Derek Carr got a bad rap.
He does.
I've told you that I think he's a clutch player, and we've both talked about what's surrounded him this football season. I think he should be proud of the way that he's competed.
Yeah.
Now, growing his hair out, I don't know. He kind of looks like a bad guy in like a mid.
Coming from somebody whose hair is just flowing out of their hat right now.
There's a difference between flowing and kind of like the quasi. He's getting into feathered mullet territory. So I may actually send David a text on that one.
I think that means we should close out our show when we're talking about hairstyle.
Yeah. David always goes with either the short frat guy cut or kind of like the super LA looks gelled Clark Gable. You know what I'm talking about? Never mind.
Ellie, Can we have the music, please?
Yeah. We're picking games on Thursday. Around this time, actually, we'll be early. We're a little late today because somebody's car got towed. He's at Marcus_Mosher, the host of a great Cowboys podcast called Locked On Cowboys. I am at Harrison NFL. We're so glad you joined you, and enjoy the games, and we'll see you on Thursday. Take care, everybody.